you came from a really esteemed show business family. In particular, your father, Gene Lockhart, really one of the great screen character actors of the 20th century. Now, talk a little bit about growing up with your parents and then appearing in A Christmas Carol in 1938.
Well, it was really it was rather a British-American upbringing in the home. We had my grandmother and grandfather and a maiden aunt that lived with us. I don't know how Daddy supported them all, but he always did. He was such a versatile actor. He was a good comedian. He was a wonderful musician. And there's a song, perhaps some of you have heard of it, The World is Waiting till the Sunrise, he wrote. And he wrote it in 1919, and I still get royalties from it. Not anymore from the copyrights have run out for the States, but I get it from around the world, and it's really remarkable. From countries you'd never heard of, and even Trinidad Tobago has one. Yes, they play them on the drums, playing on the drums.
Did you hear that, Gemma? That's where my wife's from, by the way, Trinidad and Tobago. We have the Trinidad and Tobago film noir activity.
He was born in Canada, of course became a citizen later. My mother was born in England. And she was a dancer and a singer and played the piano and was a member of the Dickens Fellowship, which is a great honor there because of her interpretation of Dickens, which of course always leading us to the next thing.
Right.
Anyway, here's something that not many people know, other than those close to me. Thomas Edison introduced my mother and father.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
There's a bit of news for you. Years ago, this was in the early 20s, Thomas, who was always, Thomas, listen to me, Edison, who was always very facile at promoting his new inventions, would send out a train every year. Of course, in those days, they didn't do what they do now. They bring all the dealers into Disney World or up to Las Vegas. In those days, there was no way to show the new things that they had invented. So he would have the Edison dealers convention caravan, and he sent out this long train load full of celebrities, people from the Metropolitan, singers. There were motivational speakers. They put on a 3 or 4 act play every year. They had all kinds of entertainment. And the dealers would be brought into either the big theater or the big showrooms, which he would rent across the country as the train traveled west. They started in New York, they went to Chicago, down to St. Louis, across Texas, around all the way up the West Coast, and up into Canada. And when they got to Lake Louise, Daddy made his move. So. But honestly, Daddy had done a play for him in 1922, and in 1923 they were sending it out again, and Edison had hired Daddy to go on the tour again, and it was a play that needed a lady who could sing and do comedy, and so Kathleen Arthur was brought in. And when I went to West Orange, New Jersey, to the Edison Think Factory, which is a wonderful tour, if you've never done it, you're back there, you should go. And I stood at the roll-top desk, which still has all the things just as they were when Edison died. And then behind the desk was a big table with a green felt cover.
Sure.
And I stood there and I had this rush of knowingness that this was the place where Mr. Edison and Kathleen Arthur, I'd like you to meet your leading man, Gene Lockhart. And that was the moment. This is a roll-top desk of Edison's, and there's an empty Listerine bottle and notes and things. And in one little cubby hole there, there's some paper stuck in there. And underneath it is something stuck on the bottom, and it says, "New Ideas." What could they be? They never touched them, they just closed it all off. So anyway, we go through, Daddy, was on Broadway for years. He created the role of Sid in Eugene O'Neill's Wilderness, which was, of course, starred George M. Cohan. And it was that play which brought Daddy out to MGM under contract, and we all moved out here. And he began his career, and then soon after that, we all did Christmas Carol. This was kind of neat because every year at Christmas time, my father and mother and I and assembled guests would perform Christmas Carol for the Christmas dinner. At that time, of course, this is now 38, 39, 40, there were many, many members of the British colony, actors, fine actors, Leo G. Carroll and Doris Lloyd and Walter Kingsford and many other actors who had come over from England, especially the whole group had come over once because war was imminent. And they were our guests, and many of them participated in doing Christmas Carol after dinner as the entertainment. And Leo Carroll used to play Scrooge at our house.
Leo G. Carroll.
Yes, Leo Carroll, but in the movie he plays
Marley. That's right.
So, Marley's ghost.
Right.
So, when the opportunity came to do the film, my parents were hired, and this, I guess, their agent said, you know, what do you think about having June in it? So they asked me if I'd like to do it. Of course, I said yes. And so that was my first film, Dickens' Christmas Carol, which was a great treat.
Well,
and it's such fun to see it every year.
It's interesting. Last year we had Ann Rutherford here,
Oh,
who was
yes.
also in that. Now we have you here. We're doing Christmas Carol Noir here,
Yeah,
2 years
that's
in a
right,
row. That's right.
She was beautiful.
She was great.
And a sweet lady.
So from there, there was All This in Heaven Too,
Oh,
with
yes.
Betty Davis and
Right.
Charles Boyer, one of my wife's favorite, personal favorites. So,
That was pretty noir too, wasn't
yeah,
it?
very.
Yes, I tested for that. Oh, and here's something too that my father taught me about auditioning or testing for films or voiceovers or whatever you do. He said, just enjoy the moment. He said, if you get the part, that's the gravy. But he said, at least you have a chance to perform. You're meeting new people, new producers and writers and directors and casting people who come in to do the casting. And so it sort of relaxes me so that even now when I go on an audition, those words come back to me and well, we just do this because it's fun to do for today. And then if you get the part two, well, isn't that nifty? It was. But, so I tested for All This in Heaven Too, and then got the part.
Right.
Enjoyed playing very, very much with Betty Davis, who was just divine to all of us, to all the children in it. And and of course, Boyer was wonderful, and my father and Charles Boyer had worked together in Algiers a few years before.
Right, that's right.
My father, he played Regis in that film, and my father received an Academy Award nomination for a supporting role in that. I should say that all the time that I was in school, I kept up with my school classes in the films that I did, very few, during my teens, because my father did not want me to be under contract until I had graduated. So one day, Boyer said to me, and June, how are your studies coming? And I said, oh, very well, but today, I said, my teacher isn't here, and I'm supposed to do some French reading out loud, and that's my assignment. And he said, oh, really? He said, would you like to read it out loud for me? Oh, yes. So after we finished the sequence, we went over and sat at the table, and I read my French, this long page of French out loud, and he corrected me when I was wrong or had missed the proper French hour. And I realized, as I looked at him, he could speak English absolutely beautifully without any accent at all, and I could tell that because of how he was able to tell me exactly how my R was wrong and his R was right. So that was a treat. He was
I guess if you have Charles Boyer teaching you French, you can't get above that.
You have to be careful what you tell that when you go back to school, because
That's
they say,
right.
oh yeah,
That's right.
sure.